Hello, welcome back to my channel, IT Class TV. So ito na yung part 2 ng subnetting. Ito yung tinatawag na Variable Length Subnet Mask, BLSM. Uses different subnet masks for the same network. More efficient usage of IP addresses. Ngayon nagpakita ako ng example na enterprise company, ABC Enterprises Company Network para lang maintindihan natin kung ano ang ginagawa ng mga network designer kapag magki-create sila ng blueprint ng network ng isang kumpanya. So, meron ka ngayon network na 192.168.0.0/24. This is CIDR notation, classless, interdomain, routing. Ayun ang ibig sabihin ng CIDR. So, ang requirement is kailangan mabigyan mo ng bawat IP address yung ABC Enterprises Network. So meron silang LAN 1 which resides as the headquarters. This is the headquarters of ABC Enterprises Network. ABC Enterprises is a fictitious name lang, parang inimbento ko lang para lang may magamit na reference. So yung headquarters sa LAN nila, mangangailangan ng 54 IP address. Be careful meron tayong tinatawag yung sinabi kong theoretical. Theoretical IP address. Ano nga ba yung theoretical? Yun ay kapag kukunin mo yung host equals to the host okay, without subtracting 2. That is the theoretical. Pero yung usable IP address is h equals 2 to the h minus 2. Lagi mong ibabawas yung dalawang IP addresses na hindi usable. Kung saan all host position are 0 is 1, that is the subnet. And all host value are 1, that is the subnet broadcast ID. So ito ngayon, yung ABC Enterprises, meron silang tatlong opisina. So isa doon, yung headquarters, may nangangailangan sila ng 54 IP addresses. So this is the 54 is the usable IP address. So what is written here, these are all usable. So kapag tumapat doon sa theoretical, that means you cannot use that one because you still have to subtract 2. That's why kung bibigyan ka halimbawa ng mga network design at kailangan mo mag-subnetting ng isang IP address, tatanungin mo kung yung ibinigay doon ay yun ay yung usable IP addresses. Yun lang ang kailangan nila. So tatlo yung opisina nila, yung headquarters nangangailangan ng 54 IP addresses. Tapos yung branch 1, meron silang pangangailangan ng 25 IP addresses. And then yung branch 2, which is a smaller branch among the corporate network, nangangailangan ng 10 IP addresses lang. So hindi tayo mag-iintindi doon sa IP addressing na gagamitin na connection between the headquarters and the internet kasi normally yung IP address na yan ibinibigay yan ng internet provider, internet service provider at sila ang mag-a-assign yan. Pinakita ko lang kasi minsan meron kang local network at the same time you need internet access. So ang internet access ng branches, branch number 1 at saka branch number 2 ay through headquarters. Kasi sila lang ang merong internet connectivity. Yun namang design, ginawa ko lang siyang ganyan pero para bagang merong redundancy. Let's say yung branch number 2 naputol yung link number 2, makakapunta pa rin siya doon sa headquarters via link number 3 through branch 1. It is true also for branch 1. Kapag naputol yung link 1, meron ka pa rin paraan para makarating doon sa headquarters via branch 2 using link number 3 and link number 2. So kumbaga sa yung internet nyo, hindi kayo mapuputulan. At saka yung connectivity mo dun sa headquarters, hindi kayo mapuputulan. Kung isa lang link ang mawawala, meron ka pa rin connectivity. And dahil nga, alam mo naman, yung internet, very important nowadays. So ganun lang ang ginawa kong design. At anyway, kailangan mong gamitin yung Class C network ID na 192.168.0.0 is last 24. Again, this is insider notation. So ano ba ang process? First, kailangan mo i-identify yung LAN, lahat ng LAN na mga kailangan ng IP addresses. In this case, yung headquarters which is LAN 1 nangangailangan ng 54 IP addresses. Tapos yung LAN 2 which is the branch number 1 nangangailangan ng 25 IP addresses. And then branch 2 which requires 10 IP addresses. And then the link in between. So dahil most probably it's a point-to-point link, nangangailangan ka lang ng 2 IP addresses. So again, remember that the smallest or the maximum bit that you can go when you are doing subnetting, you can go only up to is last 30. Bakit? Kasi yung host natin equals 2 to the h minus 2. That means you have to leave 2 bits in the fourth octet. Whether you are coming from classful A, classful B, or classful C IP address range, you are only allowed until or up to is last 30. Dahil doon sa formula natin at saka dahil sa dalawang IP addresses that is not a valid host IP address, the network and the broadcast or the subnet broadcast. So, i-arrange mo lang yung LAN from highest to the lowest requirement of IP addresses. Kasi ang pag-solve nito more on ibabase mo sa more on the IP address requirements. So kung titignan mo yung headquarters, kailangan nila ng 54 IP addresses. So yun ang uunahin natin kasi yun ang may pinakamalaking requirement pagdating sa IP addresses or host address. So let us go to the next slide. Dahil meron tayong LAN requirement IP address na 54, pwede natin hiramin yung 1 bit, okay na siya doon. Pero pag tinignan mo, sobrang napakalaki kasi 128. Remember, we are in the fourth octet ha. Kaya ako sinasabing 128. The theoretical available IP, host IP addresses is 128. Susubtract mo lang yung dalawa, mayroon kang 126. So we can go to the next bit. Meron siyang theoretical na 64 or block grouping na 64 IP addresses, which has a usable host IP addresses of 62 kasi babawas mo yung dalawa. So yung 54 na host IP addresses na requirement ng headquarters, sapat na yung 64. Pwede na tayong mag-subnet doon. We cannot use the 32 because it is less than 54. The most suitable number of bits that we can borrow is up to 2 bits. Bit number 1 and bit number 2. So ang grouping natin is 64. Kapag sinubmit na natin yan, nag-subnet na tayo, ano ba ang possible value? 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, at saka 1, 1. Again, apat na subnet na makukuha natin dahil 2 bits. Ang network is obtained using 2 to the n. 2 to the n. At saka dalawa ang binaro natin na bits from the host side. So meron tayong 4. Magkaiba yon ha, sa host. Kasi ang host IP address is the usable one, 2 to the h minus 2. So ang network, walang minus. Kung ilang bits, i-erase mo lang doon sa bits na hiniram mo yung 2, yun na ang network, available network, na magagawa mo mula doon sa given network ID. Since we were given the 192.168.0.0/24, again, we will be working on the fourth octet. Nanghiram tayo ng 2 bits dahil yung highest IP address requirement natin ay 54 lang. Sapat na siya dun sa grouping na 64. So ito ngayon ang network natin. Starting again from 0, you have 192.168.0.0. Yun ang unang subnet natin. Di ba? Meron siyang usable na 62 IP addresses. So pwede na natin itong gamitin doon sa headquarters. So, nagamit natin yung 0.0. So yung 0.1, pwede natin gamitin sa susunod. Yun na ang ginawa ko. Ayan, 0.1. Kasi meron lang siyang IP address requirement na 25. Ito ay 32. Ang usable niya is 30. Kasi 32 minus 2, you have 30. More than enough doon sa 25 requirements niya, di ba? Ito. Yun, yung branch number 1 has an IP address requirements of 25. And branch number 2 has 10 IP addresses requirement. So, eto na tayo. Nag-move lang tayo ng 1 bit. Bumagsak tayo sa grouping na 32. Again, we are using the 01 from the original subnetting. Diba? Hindi natin nagamit yung 64. 00 lang ang nagamit natin. Kaya, ni-rewrite ko uli yung 64 na /26 na. Hindi na siya /24. Remember, pag create natin ng subnet, naging /26 kasi nagamit natin yung bit number 1 at saka bit number 2. Diba? 2 bits ang nahiram natin. Naging 192 yung subnet mask niya. Diba? So yung una na nilagay ko in yellow background, ayun ay ang subnet na gagamitin ng headquarters. Ang gagamitin natin this time ay yung pangalawa, which is 192.168.0.64, pero iba na ang subnet. Ibababa ko yung /26. 192 subnet. So para makuha natin yung yung 25 IP addresses na requirement niya, isang bit lang ang kailangan natin. So mag-i-extend yung 192.168.0.64/28 to bit number 3, which is grouping of 32. So magagamit na natin yon as the LAN IP addresses for branch number 1. Enough na yon kasi meron tayong grouping na 32. So yun ang gagamitin natin. So ang magagamit natin na IP address is 192.168.0.64 na may subnet mask na 224 because this time we are moving to the third bit. So hindi natin nagamit ngayon yung other value on the same bit number 27, di ba? Or bit number 27, bit number 3. Yung 0 na gamit natin. Ayun, 192.168.0.64 with a subnet mask of 255.255.255.224. This is for the use of LAN for branch number 1, which has an IP requirements of 25 host address. So ang range niya is 192.168.0.65 to 192.168.0.94. At ang subnet broadcast niya is 192.168.0.95. Okay, ang next subnet noon na hindi natin nagamit is 192.168.0.96. /27. Yun ang kahati kanina. Kasi lagi pagka nanghiram tayo ng isang bit lang, dalawa ang value nun eh, di ba? Yung 0 at saka 1. So ang nagamit again natin ngayon is that 0 lang. Yung that 1, pwede natin uli i-resubnet. So, dadalhin ko ngayon sa next slide, yung 192.168.096 is last 20. I mean, with a subnet mask of 255.255.255.224. That is already is last 27. Ayan na, oh. 192.168.096 is last 27. Again, yung second branch nangangailangan lang ng 10 IP addresses. So, manghihiram lang tayo ng isa uli. Kasi ang next grouping from 32 magiging 16. So, ang magagamit uli natin yung 96 na .0. Parang yung unang-unang subnet. Pero this time, ang subnet mask niya is 240 na. So, yung makikreate natin na subnet doon kapag 0 is 192.168.0.96 at saka 192.168.0.112. So, lagi ang nagagamit natin dito sa dalawang magkasunod, yung nauuna lang, yung kapag nga nanghiram tayo ng bit na isa, yung 0 lang, yung 1 hindi natin nagagamit. So, yung 1, ginagamit natin sa susunod. Tapos, nanghihiram ulit tayo ng 1. Kasi kailangan lang natin yung masatisfies yung requirement ng IP addresses ng particular office. So, we are already in the second office, second branch. So, okay na siya kasi 10 lang ang requirement niya, di ba? 10 lang ang requirement niya. So, meron tayong 16. Kung babawasan mo ng dalawa, meron tayong 14. So, 10, meron pa tayong 4 na IP address na hindi magagamit. So, iyon ngayon gagamitin natin 192.168.0.96 with a subnet mask of 255.255.255.240. 240 dahil nag-move tayo to bit number 4. So, dalawang magkasunod, yung branch 1, isang bit lang ang kailangan natin. Again, nung hinati natin yun, nagamit natin yung 0, pero yung 1 hindi. Yung 1 again, nanghiram tayo ng isa. Meron ka na naman bit 0 at bit 1. Gagamitin na naman natin yung bit 0, which is the 192.168.0.96 subnet with a subnet mask of 255.255.255.240 dahil nandun na tayo sa bit number 4 which is last 28. So isa lang magagamit daw natin. Ibababa na naman natin yung 192.168.0.112. The same subnet mask 255.255.255.40 kasi kailangan natin doon sa LAN. This time, hindi na lang isang bit ang kailangan natin. Kailangan natin manghiram ng 2 bits kasi ang link na kailangan natin ay 3. So, ang isang bit hindi magkakaasya. So, ayun, manghihiram tayo ng bit. We are coming from 240 is last 28. Nanghiram tayo ng 2 bit. So, magagamit natin yung slash 29 is slash 30 or bit number 5, bit number 6. Dalawa yon. Nag-move tayo ng 2 bit. So, mayroon ngayon tayo makikreate na 4. 4 na subnet. Yun, no? Siyempre, yung 192.168.0.112, yun ang unang-unang magagamit natin. But this time, the subnet mask is 255.255.255.252. Since we are already subnetting in the 4th octet, again, we are only allowed until slash 30 because of host requirement that there are 2 IP addresses that we cannot use. Right? So, ang subnet natin ngayon is 192.168.0.112 with a subnet mask of 255.255.255.252. So, ang address range natin, dalawa lang. Ayun, no? Yung subnet natin na 112, ang unang IP address will be 113. Ayun, no? IP address range 192.168.0.1132, 192.168.0.114. Yun lang ang usable niya. So yung 115, again, that will be the subnet broadcast. Madali lang, di ba? Pag nag-add tayo ng 1 doon sa subnet broadcast, yun ay next subnet. Yung yung 115 magiging 116, which is our second subnet na mayroong subnet mask na /30 or 255.255.255.252. Again, the range of IP addresses in the subnet 192.168.0.116 ay 192.168.0.117 to 192.168.0.118. Dalawa lang yan. At ang subnet broadcast niya ay 192.168.0.119. Kasi pagka dinagdagan mo uli yung subnet broadcast na yon, yung 119 ng 1, magiging next subnet. So ang requirement natin dito sa point-to-point link ay dalawang IP addresses lang. At kailangan lang natin ng tatlong subnet. Meron tayong na-create na 4, hindi natin magagamit ulit yung So kung there will be another remote branch na ABC Enterprises will create, you can assign that link to that branch. Meron pang isa akong ibigay na note. Meron tayong dalawang subnet na hindi nagamit. Yung 10 at saka 11. Nagamit lang natin yung 00, 01 nung mag-start tayo ng subnetting. You remember, start tayo ng subnetting, meron tayong 00, 01, 10, 11 dahil nanghiram tayo ng 2 bits from the host. Pansinin nyo, habang gumagalaw tayo sa susunod na subnetting, di ba? Nagamit natin yung 00, so gumamit tayo ng next subnet which is 01. From 01, na-resubnet natin yon. Nagamit natin yung 0 para sa susunod na branch office, di ba? Yung 1, ni-resubnet uli natin yon, tapos nagamit natin yung 0 para sa IP addressing ng branch 2. May natira ka uling 1, which is 192.168.0.112. You are already in 112. At meron kang requirement na tatlong point-to-point network. So, kailangan yung 112, i-resubnet natin into 2 bits. Manghihiram tayo ng 2 bits. So, makikita mo yung pang-apat na subnetting natin, para na yun sa point-to-point. Na kung saan sinasubnet natin yung 192.168.0.112/28. At this time, dahil kailangan natin ng tatlong network, dahil sa point-to-point link natin, kailangan natin manghiram ng 2 bits, which we end up to /30. Okay lang, tama lang yon. Kasi kung umabot tayo sa 31, hindi po pwede. May problema tayo. Di ba? Bakit? Dahil doon sa host requirement na 2 to the h minus 2. Lagi kang doon sa host position, lagi kang may value ng all zeros ng host at saka all ones ng host. Kasi the all zeros refer to the subnet, while the all ones refer to the subnet broadcast ID. So yun, makakaproduce ulit tayo ng 4 na subnet. This time, containing only 2 IP addresses. We are in block of 4. Tignan mo, yung binibilugan ko lagi. Yun ang block. Nasa 4th octet tayo. So yung 4, theoretically, that is host IP address. However, we have to subtract 2 to get the usable IP addresses that are available for that particular subnet. Diba? Magagamit lang natin dito tatlo lang, yung 00, 01, 10. Yung 11, extra na yon. At mayroon pa tayong dalawang subnet na hindi nagamit. Doon sa /26, yung 10 at saka 11. Di ba? Di ba maganda? Pwede ka pa uli mag ano ng branch na siguro another 54, another 50 or 60. Magagamit mo yon. Hindi natin nagamit yun eh. So meron ka pang available ditong subnet na isa doon sa Black Hub 4 at meron kang dalawa doon sa Black Hub 64. Di ba? Hindi natin nagamit yon. Tandaan nyo yon. So ito na ngayon ang magiging IP addressing. Inassign ko na. So LAN 1 will use 192.168.0.0 which is /26 yung subnet mask. At yun ang IP address range na available. 192.168.0.1 to 62. Tapos subnet mask ay 63. Remember, the requirement of LAN 1 is only 54 IP addresses. Kaya para bang napagsunod-sunod natin na okay, pwede pang gamitin yung isang subnet na hindi nagamit, di ba? Kaya lang, nag-move ngayon yung subnet mask mo. It's coming from the same network, di ba? 192.168.0 pa rin yun, di ba? Pero sa huling octet, nagbabago. At saka yung subnet mask nagbabago. Doon naman talaga may pagbabago sa fourth octet dahil class C. Class C ang ibinigay sa atin na network ID, which is 192.168.0.0/24. Doon tayo nagsimula. So yan na, pinakita ko lang kung paano mai-assign yung mga IP addresses. So as I was mentioning before, do not bother the IP addressing that connects the internet to the headquarters router because they will provide the IP addresses. I just provided us just for showing only. So the link to link will use, the point-to-point link will use any of the three IP addresses that we have obtained from the last subnetting. See, it can use the 192.168.0.112 subnet. Tignan mo yung subnet mask niya /30 na. At saka yung available IP addresses is only dalawa. Pag 112 ka, 113 yung unang IP address, yung susunod ay 114. At yung subnet mask niya, yung subnet broadcast ID niya is 192.168.0.115. So madali lang, di ba? Kaya lang ito, mas efficient even yung usage ng IP addressing. Kasi iisa lang, pero nalagyan mo ng IP addresses yung tatlong opisina ng ABC Enterprises Network. Nagamit mo pati siya as point-to-point link between the head office and the branches. So, yun lang ang pagkakaiba ng variable length subnet mask sa normal subnetting. Ang normal subnetting, fix lagi ang subnet mask ng network na makukuha natin doon sa subnetting na gagawin natin. So, okay. Thank you for watching.